How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Luis Green joining us from United States, and he is the founder of Arbet Capital Group, and this group they are they have a principle to lead business with value and scaling up with purpose. He said, stop selling, start partnering. I love that. So Luis, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So that's a great question. And before we start, I'd like to say thanks, Harry, for having me on the
Pleasure.
show. How incredible to be on here with a legend. So seriously, it's I was listening to some of your podcasts and some of your content, and I'm honored. I'm honored to be here and being able to be interviewed by one of the top, one of the best in entrepreneurial. So thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So as far as yeah, of course. I have to give honor where honor is due. So as far as the 5 steps, the first step I would say is always be authentic. And I know it sounds really, really simple. And but one of the things that I realized early in my journey, and probably you found, and I mean honestly, a lot of our listeners have probably really come to this as well, is that sometimes you feel like you have to be somebody you're not in order to be where you want to be. But what I would say and challenge us is the first step is be exactly who you are and lead with that and be okay getting better. So really the first point I would say is just be yourself, be authentic. No, like I said, I know it sounds simple, but anybody who's ever really been on this journey of entrepreneurialism, um, if you really think back, we all can realize that there's been moments in time where we felt like we couldn't be ourselves, whether we felt like we couldn't talk about our religion, we believe, if we felt like we couldn't talk about our spouses because we thought it's gonna mess up our deal, or if we felt like we just had to pretend to be bigger than we really are, to impress other people. But what I realized in my journey, and I've raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and the reality is this, the people that connected with me the most are the people that trusted me, and the people that trusted me are the people that knew me for who I was. So that would be the first step. Before you open any books, before you try to crunch any numbers, just be yourself.
Then Luis, what would be the next one?
Perfect. So step number two is really have a great team. And at first, that team might just be yourself, right? So when I first started, my team was me and my wife. And at the time, I didn't have any kids. And fast forward, we ended up scaling an e-commerce company, which is one of the 4 companies that I've started. And we went from Mexico to Canada, uh, all the way throughout the United States. But the only way that happened was really being able to have like good employees, people that really cared about what you're doing and having a really clear vision. So when you hire, let's say, your first employee, for those that are new, I'll give a couple different ways. If your first employee is someone that's new, hire somebody who is an entrepreneur, someone who has tons of ideas, that's willing to do multiple different things, that has a lot of value. And that first person, the mistake we can try to get into is we try to hire somebody that's just like us because we see them like, oh wow, like he's so likable, he seems nice, he's always smiling, he's good with people, and we start looking in the mirror at somebody that looks like us, and we like it because we like ourselves. But the thing is, we want to hire somebody that has different skills than the ones that we have, because if we have the same skills, we're going to go in the same direction, and normally that's downhill. We want someone who's going to challenge us to grow bigger. For the person who's established, who has a pretty big company, who has a good fundamental, I would say that hiring key leaders is important because what you say trickles down. So, for example, if my initiative is to be people focused, people centric, if my leaders don't communicate that to the next chain down and to the next person and to the next person, what ends up happening is you have a seems like a clear vision from the top, but in the middle, it gets lost. And what ends up happening is you become work focused instead of people focused, if that's what our drive was. So just having really good leaders in your executive team, whether it's your CFO, CEO, if you have a board, right? Those are all really important. COOs are also really important because they're the operational side of your business. That would be number two.
Yeah, I remember when I'm a creative person, and at some point our company we start we have a lot of creators, and I was telling to my team, guys, we need doers in this company. We don't need more creative. We have thousands of ideas. Everybody giving ideas,
Hmm.
so the whole board is full of
Hmm.
ideas. Who's gonna implement anything? So I
So
100%
funny.
agree with you. You start to hire the people
That's
like
funny.
they are like you because you
Yeah.
like them, and they look like you, that they are creators like you. But then when
Hmm.
you're in the company, I was looking and said, guys, who is a doer here? Who's gonna do the stuff? Because
Hmm.
we need the
Hmm.
doer, and then we hire people like that that were that's what they were good at.
Hmm.
They didn't want to think, that they want to create an idea. It was people that said to
Hmm.
say, okay, I want you to implement this, and say, Harry, consider it
Hmm.
done. I'm onto this, and yeah, we learn this in the hard way.
Yeah, that's so funny.
In the hard way.
So for you, when you were going down this journey and you first, so just I want to understand it because I think this is going to be great for the listener. So for those that were listening, you said that you had a lot of creators, right? So what happened as you ended up hiring implementers? Did you have to get rid of some of those creators or did you just continue to grow?
No, oh, we give them because in the
Wow.
yeah, this is it's the roller coaster of being an entrepreneur, right? Our culture, the
Yeah.
all the companies that I have, you see, every time that
Hmm.
we bring somebody in, regardless that it was a mistake or not, we tried our best to
Hmm.
make it fit, yeah, and
Hmm.
sometimes it doesn't, but not for us.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
whatever it takes in order
Right.
to embrace it, to keep it, to train it. But sometimes at the early stage, as you know, you bring people that they're like you, right? The people that match the culture of the
Hmm.
company. And we're gonna talk about later about this.
Yeah.
Luis, tell us the step number three then.
Step number three is having good systems. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'll give somebody like a really practical way to implement these systems because what I found a lot of times when I've listened to different audios in the past and I'm trying to get like some good knowledge, I hear like these big ideas, but I don't really understand how can I implement it myself. So for someone who is, let's say, a solopreneur, right? Just a one-man team or just a couple people on their team and they're new. So you have the right team, right? You're yourself, you have the right team, and now it's time to put a system in place. So there's something called a CRM, customer relationships management. So what it allows you to do, it allows you to ensure that you're creating something that's bigger than yourself. So for example, if you're in sales, right, you're going to be able to create a full call list. You can have all of your leads, all of your prospects, and you can ensure that you're going from one step to the next step. Then on top of that, you have your social media that's attached in there, and then you're automating all of your posts. You have all of your engagement. So these are just like little tiny pieces of a CRM. But what a CRM does is it keeps you really, really organized. And it's important to start with it before you get too big because if you try to implement it later, it's going to be a lot of backtrack. You're going to have to go find paperwork that you started. Oh, remember we made that one contract? Or hey, remember we had that one email that we really liked? So start it when you're first in your inception because then you're really getting able to grow into it. And something simple. So there's something called Monday.com. That's a simple one. I don't have any affiliation or anything like that. It's just something that I used um, early on. Somebody who's a little bit more established. Maybe Zoho. Zoho is a good one that we personally in our company we use for all four of them. and it's just really helpful. So having systems to manage all of the things that are actually happening within the company is really important, because if you don't, you're not really going to be able to measure what direction you're going into.
Yeah, and I think that I remember when in our company also when we went to Spain, it was I have like a little mess, and all what I was
Mhm.
thinking, I'm thinking, Harry, if you span this, what you're gonna span is a big mess. Let's start to do the CRM. So I agree 100% with you to put some structure in place
Mhm.
before you expand,
Mhm.
because otherwise, if you have a little
Yeah.
mess and you expand, what you're gonna expand is a big
Yeah.
mess. Yeah. Okay, so what would be
Yep.
number four, Luis?
Number four is going to be learning the valuable for us, right? This is anybody who really is looking to scale. If you just want to be a one-man team, this may not apply to you. But learning how to raise capital, that's huge. Learning how to actually get people tied into your vision, where they want to be an equity partner, or they want to come be a, they're going to give you debt, whatever it means. Because what I happened to me early on in my e-commerce company is we actually got a lot of credit cards, we got tons of loans, like just from traditional banks, but that stuff's really, really expensive. And at the end of the day, the banks, they don't care if you're succeeding. They really just want to make sure they get their money back. So, but when you have like, let's say an investor, so like for Arbet Capital Partners and Arbet Capital Group, we raise, let's say right now we have a $50 million raise that we're putting together to build real estate in San Diego, California. So when that money comes in from an investor, they are sold on the vision. They say, "Oh, wow, I like what you guys are doing as an operator. We really like the direction you're going in. We feel like there's validation." And then that money comes in a way that is very inexpensive. It's not expensive on the front. And it's all based off of you producing the promise that you gave them on the back end. So when you're structuring a company, is finding really getting comfortable talking about the money piece, because the money piece makes sure that your vision is really, really aligned with the direction that you're really trying to go to.
Yeah.
So being able to raise capital, raising money.
And number five?
And number five, never being settled. So never being okay with where you're at. That's really big. And I think that's really for us where we've really continued to push the thread with, I mean, honestly, all of our different companies that we've had. I remember I had one company and then I said, I'm going to start another one. And they said, no, I mean, how can you have two in one? And then I was like, well, I mean, I know there's people out there in the world that have multiple. I know Elon Musk has multiple companies. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm like Elon Musk, but what I'm saying is, él es humano, right? He's a human
You,
just like me, just like you, just like every person listening. We're all human. So I know that it's possible. So just being okay taking those risks, right? Investing in yourself before you invest in anything else. And when you take a shot on yourself, you have to remember like the only person who is in charge of your success in that moment, well, I'd say God. God plays a big role in it, but outside of God, it's you, right? Like if you win or fail, it's based off of did you invest in yourself, right? Did you take the chances to expand your company? So never being okay with where you're at and just continue to grow, and that's how you really become a small little startup or a solopreneur and take it to a medium. It's really just not being okay. Look at Steve Jobs, great example, right? He created something he wasn't okay with where it was, so he continued to grow more, 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 more. It's the same story. And actually, all those pieces, those five just spoke about, every billionaire in the world would probably say some of the same things, because at the end of the day, they continue to grow and they continue to expand. But in order to expand, you need capital. In order to get capital, you need to have systems. In order to have good systems, you need to have good people that can implement those systems. And once you have those good people, that only works if you're being yourself. So if you go all the way back up, five keys.
the most powerful vehicles out there in order to become a millionaire. Louis, I see that you guys, you have done, you have projects with real estate, raising capital for real estate, as you described, and
Mhm.
you also grew an e-commerce business, which is kind of tech, right? So I'm
It is,
rooting,
yeah.
I'm rooting for you in both verticals. So one out of five, we're like I said, we interview with 500 in this broadcast, and one out of five either is from property or from tech. So why do you
Mhm.
think that property and tech are the most powerful vehicles in order to create
Mhm.
wealth as we speak today? But also tell
Mhm.
us the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you
Mhm.
are in the racing at the moment. That, by the way, the good people that are in this space, they have to be good entrepreneurs first. So tell us, why
Mhm.
do you choose these two vehicles, and is it that if you use V and take as a vehicle, you can become wealthy really easy compared with other vehicles as well? I mean, the statistic in this podcast is actually, if you listen through all the episode, one out of five are
Mhm.
tech, one out of five is property. I don't know if I like tech or property and everybody show up out of the sky. Maybe the energy that I have, or probably is
Yeah.
more statistic vehicles. So, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So great question. And I'd say that realistically, we're seeing them different vehicles, but if you look at the heart of what they both do is right? In real estate, you have metrics, data, right? You're able to look at, I'll give you a quick example. If I have a piece of property, let's say that I'm just going to do a fix and flip, which is actually how we started. We started very simple, very humble. We had a little house, we renovated it, took everything out, me and my brother, ripped everything, oh, more my brother than me, ripped everything out, and we renovated, and then my cousin oversaw the projects. But let's say, for example, what you're doing is you're going to check out the market, right? You're going to see if I buy this, how much can I sell it for? And you test that based off of other products, assets that have sold similar to that, right? And then, okay, well, if I buy it and I make it better, how much value can I add in order to make a spread, which is going to be my margin, right? And then from then on, it's who's your consumer? Who's your competitors? So the framework for both of these verticals is actually very similar. And I would have never understood that unless I was in both. I would have thought that they were somewhat different. So in e-commerce, let's say that you sell on Amazon, right? Same concept. You have a product. Let's say you want to launch a product. Okay, well, how much will it go for? Right? If you add additional features to it, let's say that I have a cup and then I add a handle, now it's a mug. Does that add more value? Right? Okay, let's say I put it into a Yeti cup now, and then that Yeti cup can stay cold longer. Now it has more value, right? It's a cup that stays colder longer. So you added value, and now it's how much is it worth to that consumer now? What's the price point that it's worth? And then who is your general public for that? Right. So if I have $1 million house, I'm probably not going to market to somebody who can only afford a $500,000 house. And then the next step is who are my competitors, right? So on Amazon, if you type in awesome, coolest purple jacket ever, and your jacket came on there, right? Well, there's going to be like 10, 20, 30, 40 other pages that also have purple jackets. Those are competitors. The same way that if I typed in 2 bedroom, 3 bath house in San Diego, a bunch of other people are going to come up with the same product. So it's very similar. So realistically, at the end of the day, they just cater to slightly different types of personalities, I would say. Tech is normally very creative, really, really creative. You have to be a visionary. You're creating something that normally does not exist. In the real estate sector, it's a little bit different. Even though you are creative and you are creating something that doesn't exist right now, there is a framework on how to do it. In tech, you're starting afresh. You're creating that framework. You're creating how to do it. In real estate, there's billions, millions of people that have done it before you that you can learn from. Those are just the two differences, but they both have the same heart, which is data-driven analytics.
Yeah, the failure rate is actually higher, in my opinion, that the
Hmm.
probability exactly
I agree. Hmm.
for what you describe. But in
Hmm.
terms of raising finance, Luis, which is right in your backyard, the
Hmm.
challenge that we have with tech is that with tech entrepreneur is that
Mhm.
they come to me, we cannot find funding, and
Mhm.
they basically they get in love so much with the product that they start to develop the product and put money, energy into
Mhm.
developing the product. And the more that they add feature and benefits,
Mhm.
the more the invest time, energy. This that's supposed to be an MVP, a minimum viable product. Everybody forgot
Mhm.
about the M, the first M. Now it's not minimum viable product anymore. Now it's an elephant that you cannot to see the market want this elephant.
Yeah.
And then to you, Louis, I said, Louis, I need that you find me money and invest in my company because we need money for marketing to sell
Mhm.
what we developed. That, by the way, is a great technology that's gonna change the world.
Mhm.
So how you close this gap? Because I have from the investors, from people like you, telling me, Harry, they are no entrepreneurs yet. The way that they're describing how
Mhm.
this process they're gonna take the company, and the way,
Mhm.
not even what they describe it, what they have
Mhm.
doesn't goes with reality how things work. So how come I'm gonna give them my money? They're not. They Some of them tell them, look, tell them the next venture, let them fail,
Mhm.
and when they come again with something, bring them to me, Harry, but no, now in this stage. And then
Mhm.
from the other hand, I have the startup fund that say, Harry, these people crazy. I need the money now. What they say, what they mean, but coming the next idea. It's not next idea. This is my idea. I need the funding for this idea. I
Mhm.
need to sell my product. And I say, guys,
Mhm.
is that it's just how you talk and have and what you have done
Mhm.
so far. It doesn't inspire any, because people think that the investors are stupid, Luis, and this is the first myth that we need to those times that are you piece of paper, you give me $1 million, they are gone, no? And that's
Mhm.
those time this .com, this time passed long time
Mhm.
ago, and people think or have the vision that the investors or the people raising capital out there, they are stupid, and most of them have been entrepreneur
Mhm.
before, and most of them have several exits before. They really
Mhm.
know how to the principle, how to take a business, how product market fit, how to scale a business, how to grow a business. They're not stupid. It doesn't matter like start to found what story you're gonna tell them. If you
Mhm.
foundation, they're gonna spot it like this. The worst things, they don't even have to tell you what's wrong. They move to the next one.
Right.
So, Luis,
Mhm.
how can we close this gap between the and the founders there? Probably, like you said, it's a little bit less risk because
Mhm.
it's high ticket usually, right? However, if you get it
Mhm.
wrong in property, it's big time. We're talking about a lot of money. Yeah, been
Yeah.
there. I've been there. Business was in property. I managed to save 5 million doing rent to rent in London. So
Uh-huh.
from the space and
Yeah.
I also love tech. Yeah. Back in the day when I
Yeah.
have head like you, I used to be software developer in Spain. Yeah. So
Okay.
imagine how many years have
Mhm.
passed there. Actually, the only 5 years as an employee that I have, it was it's writing software. So I have a deep
Yeah.
love for tech, but we do
Mhm.
find this challenge a lot between tech startup founders and capital, right? And at the
Mhm.
same, but if they take the best, Louis, and they do the right path, tech is really scalable. With very few people, you can
Mhm.
take the whole product all over
Mhm.
the world.
Mhm.
So something that it would probably would take a little bit more. So tech have huge benefits. Even you have the
Mhm.
e-commerce, and
Mhm.
from your house, you took the product from Mexico to Canada, then you brought it to the States. That's amazing. Sitting from your
Mhm.
house, amazing, right? So
Yeah.
tech have this
Mhm.
facility. So how we close the gap between funding
So,
and you've been in both, you have worked both
mhm.
hard.
Yeah.
How we do it?
So I think it's what I thought investors cared about when I was only an entrepreneur. I was actually wrong. And so what happened is the way I was pitching was, I mean, it just wasn't speaking the language that an investor really cares about, right? Because as an entrepreneur, what uh, I tended to do is I'd get really emotional and excited about the product because it's my baby, right? It's like if I say, "Hey, tell me about your son," you're like, "Oh, he's playing baseball, and the way he hits the ball, home runs every time." For you, that's really important. Now, the person listening is like, "Okay, so they're healthy. That's good. Oh, cool, glad." You know? So because it's your baby and you're so invested into it, and you'll talk about it in a way that's emotional. And an investor does not care about the emotional piece of it. They want to care that you're really sold out for the vision, that you have a clear direction. But as far as truly trying to get them tied into like why this is the best thing in the world and why you're so excited, they've seen a bunch of deals. And your deal isn't probably normally any different than other people's deals, right? If you're in real estate and you're saying, "Oh, our IRR is going to be 20%, 30%, 40%." Somebody else has the same numbers, right? If you're a tech guy, I mean, you do have a little bit more of an edge because you are creating something that does not exist, right? That is of value to something, but that's also less uh that's to raise funds for if you're not talking to the right people. So I would say make sure that you're talking to the right people. I'll give you a quick example. If I came over to your house and I said, "Hey man, Harry, I just brought some dinner and I have this huge glass of water and a beer." And you say, "Oh man, like thanks a lot, but we actually just ate dinner." I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's split a beer." And you're like, "Oh, I don't drink." You're like, "Oh, okay, well, hey, let's have the water at least." And you're like, I'm not really thirsty, but I'll give it to somebody in my house that's thirsty." Okay. That's similar to pitching an investor who isn't at the right time, right? Let's say they're not liquid. Let's say that they do have access to a lot of capital, but in that moment in time, it's not liquid for them. So they're heavily invested in something else, and they're going to say, "Hey, you know what? This isn't the right time. Get with me on the next one." What you're hearing, or what the person pitching is hearing, is, "This product isn't for me. Give me the next one." But what they're really saying is, "This isn't a good time." Or if you're pitching somebody who's only does real estate, but it's the only person that has capital, and you're trying to sell them an idea on, right? Beer. They say, "Hey, I only drink something else. I don't invest in tech. I only invest in pharma. I don't invest in pharma. I only do oil and gas." There's a bunch of different places. So, but when you're at the table sitting with the right person, at the end of the day, if it's the right time and it's the right person and your product really is good, you're going to have an investor. You're going to have to go through a lot of no's. That's just the way it is because not everyone's going to believe in what you're creating. Um, I was looking at, it's like a big topic right now, right? So the inventor of Poppy, the drink, the little soda drink Poppy. So she went on Shark Tank years ago. And guess what? She pitched all of the investors. They all said no except for one. One said yes. The other one's like, "No, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I don't like the way it tastes. It's not going to work out." But there was one investor who said, "You know what? I'm interested in this." They go it and they just sold it to PepsiCo for $1.95 billion.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, you're going to have to go through a couple people, and not everyone's going to have the appetite for what you have. It's just about being in the right room with the right people to give yourself the best opportunity to get the right partner. And when people say no, just remind yourself like that wasn't the right partner for you, right? If you have to convince somebody into it, then maybe that's not really their vision, and at the end of the day, that it's not going to work out. So that's what I would say.
Stop selling, start partnering. Something that is key in order to get product market fit because sometimes an strategic partnership can actually
Mhm,
save and grow your company because if you think people that have your same client base but they don't compete with you, it could be a great
mhm,
opportunity of win-win, and especially at the earliest. Sometimes
mhm,
uh, the entrepreneurs are looking for investors to raise capital to set the product and putting a lot of time, money, and energy on this
mhm,
without trying to put time, money, and energy in partnering, in find strategic partners, actually give them cash flow,
mhm,
revenue, and then with those partners, it's gonna be
Hmm.
more easy to find the funding. So
Hmm.
can you expand a little, Luis, in how strategic partnership can benefit not only the tech entrepreneurs, the all entrepreneurs in general, and why do you think that startups don't prioritize? In my opinion, they don't. At least the tech they this enough, and those ones that do a minimum viable plus an MVP and do strategic partnerships and keep the cost down at the beginning, listening to the market, or those ones that they are winning, go out there and find a way to sell it, find a way to place the product and one effective this partnership. Tell us your view in partnerships.
So my view on partnerships is it's more one to one, really, because for us, we're not looking for a bunch of little investors that are doing a bunch of little things, right? Like for us, it really is strategic. For us, having the right partner that understands and aligns with the product that we're trying to produce is really, really important. And if we miss the mark, what's going to happen is we're going to have capital that's going to take a lot more time. And what I mean by that is if you're partnered with the wrong person, it's going to feel a lot more difficult because what you guys are looking for is different. So let's say I take on something small, like a $1.5 million investment, right? But that investor is unsure. They're not really the right partner for me. They've never been down this road before. Well, what's going to happen is they're going to have a lot more questions, a lot more hesitation, apprehension, and they're going to probably feel even like it's like we're dragging them along. It's feel like it's problematic, like it's not really fitting well. And what's going to do, it's going to take a lot of time from me or you, and that's time that could have been spent growing the company or getting additional funds. So from our perspective specifically is having a partner in regards to developing real estate that's like the equity partner. That's really, it's going to be important. And these partnerships are long term. And you got to think about that. Sometimes it feels transactional when we're getting different types of partnerships, whether it's an e-commerce company and we're getting a new product, so we're getting a partnership with a new huge major brand, which we did 36 major brands, right? We did Under Armour, PGA Tour, Columbia, Clark's, Echo, I mean, so on and so forth, and Greg Norman. So, but these partnerships are long term and you have to see it that way. Something as simple as, getting your CRM. That's going to be probably one of your first partners, right? In business that's trying to collaborate with you to help you grow your business. So seeing that as long term too, because if we only see things for right now, uh, the reality is it'll never grow because you're only feeding it what it needs right now. It's like being an athlete or a bodybuilder, right? If I only feed myself 1,200 calories every day, I'm always going to be where I am now. But if I start feeding myself 300 or 3,500 calories of protein, good mixture, well, my body is going to grow because I'm feeding it what it's truly where I'm trying to go. So partnerships at the beginning is how you feed the company. And I'd say a mistake that I made early on when I first, because I've always been entrepreneurial, but not everything always worked out. I didn't launch everything. Like I had all these great ideas and I just couldn't find a way to get, a partner or I couldn't find the way to get the capital. And the reason is because I focus on all the things except the fact of making money. So I would focus on the contracts. Oh, well, I want this percentage, you want this percentage. Well, no, I gotta be 60/40 because I'm gonna do more work and I thought the idea through, or no, I'm not gonna give you that much. It just became a lot of obstacles that I kept creating because I wanted it to be, but when you're selfless, you're generous with how you do business, it always comes back around. You might give a couple extra percentages, but at the end of the day, if someone has 10% more than originally you wanted to give them. And when you win, where do you think they're going to place their money again? It's not lost. Where's it going to go? Which has happened to me. Those investors ended up doing something else. The investors that helped me in the e-commerce space, that helped me in the real estate space, because they said, hey, you know what? All I know is Luis does good business. He cares about people. And at the end of the day, I trust him because it wasn't about, we weren't at the swap meet, right? We weren't like going back and forth. No, you give me this, I give you this. No, you give me that. And at first, that's how I was. I wanted to win, and I didn't want to feel like anyone was pulling a fast one on me because I didn't know. But when I realized that I give people the benefit of the doubt, true partnerships really do build great companies.
Yeah, we this is one of the most that I like buying the client loss, right? The because yeah, once he's in and you can start the relationship, you don't even know
Mhm,
the possibilities are huge.
mhm,
Just to be able to see further. No, it's gonna work,
mhm,
but it's
mhm,
the old book in the school because once you bring them in, the possibility is huge. Just
mhm,
the entrepreneurs need to see more the long
mhm,
term vision, and but also Luis,
mhm,
something that you shared my like a lot is when you describe the beginning, be yourself. And I think that when we start to be entrepreneurs because we're wearing all these hats and
mhm,
we don't know what we're doing. We are exhausted,
mhm,
and everybody comes to you to tell you, "I can do this if you pay me." Then we all get
mhm,
crazy, like I have to sell, buy my product, buy my product, buy my product. And
mhm,
the more you sell, not because you sell more or you go out and sell 2,000
mhm,
people, you're gonna sell the product. It doesn't really work this
mhm,
way. A lot of people say it out there, well, don't give up, don't give up. You keep trying, don't give up. But how many times have you seen a fly go through the glass window? It doesn't give
mm.
doesn't give up, but it's no there's no way that's true. You have to change the
Yeah.
approach. Yeah. You need the fly have
Mhm,
to wait for somebody open the door far away and change the
mhm,
approach, then you will be able to pass. But from that window, it's not going
mhm,
to pass. And sometimes it's about people selling. Is what happening is that
mhm,
hasn't been communicated effectively. And until you don't go to this of communicate the value effectively, your product is not gonna sell. It doesn't matter
mhm,
how many times you go
mhm,
to the class. Don't give up. Sometimes was Einstein who said that if you try to keep doing the same thing over and over, you're gonna have the same result. So
mhm,
a different approach is how about you go out, sell. It's not selling. Start strategic partnership. Start to learn how
mhm,
to communicate the value effectively.
mhm,
Maybe
mhm,
your price is not what it needs to be. Maybe
mhm,
you need to add more value or what we call it high perceived value at the low cost. So the
mhm,
proposition sell by itself. But when I think, Luis, that when you arrive to the point that we are right now, you and I in our life, you were talking about spiritual things like, you don't have to prove
mhm,
anything to anybody anymore. You live
mhm,
so with some peace in
mhm,
your soul. You are so you are yourself, and the people
mhm,
that knows you for who you are. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. And if you're a
mhm.
caring person, the people that already know you as a person, they know that,
Yeah.
and they can trust you with millions of dollars and things like this. This is something that you build by coming back to who you really
Mhm.
and live
Very true.
and let the energy flow in your direction. Like I was
Mhm,
you, I don't know this podcast. I don't know how it happened that all the property investors and all the tech entrepreneurs that are landing in this podcast. I didn't put that on the space. It's somehow
yeah.
I'm attracting
Mhm,
them, or I don't even know what's
mhm,
going on. It's the energy. I know,
mhm,
but
mhm,
by you being yourself, all the will come to your life, and there is a point that you need to start
mhm,
pushing and start to why people are not pulling to you, right? and
Hmm.
everybody asked me a question that Harry, but how so many millions are coming to your podcast? I say I don't really know, I don't know what's going on. That we put it
Yeah.
there, we started, but
Hmm.
what I know, my team deal with
Hmm.
it. To be honest, I
Hmm.
just see that
I can tell
that
you
it's
why. I
feel.
can tell you why.
Tell me, I'm looking forward to hear.
So one, create really good content,
Mhm,
right? You ask great questions, and what you're doing is you're really creating a safe space for entrepreneurs to really talk about things that are meaningful. Like, for example, asking me the five keys, right?
mhm.
And those five keys to business are the five belief systems that I also have, right? So you give a safe space to be authentic, to be yourself. And then not only do you give that space, but you also have a great way of coming back to that and saying, hey, you talked about being authentic. You could have easily skipped over that. But I think what people love and entrepreneurs love to be, and I would recommend any entrepreneur who's listening to this to reach out and get on your podcast. It's because at the end of the day, there's a safe space to really talk about things that are really valuable. Because at this point in time, you don't have to prove yourself. I don't feel like I have to prove myself. And we actually never did, but now we know that we don't. Now it's time to give that and depart that wisdom to other people that are early on in the journey, the same way that you and I probably still consume, wisdom from other people that are even further than us, right? So it's just our little way of saying, hey, I've learned this, I've gone through this process, and this has been really helpful for me. And when you're giving somebody space to give value to other people, it makes you feel generous, makes you feel happy. And that's what you're doing. Like this podcast really does captivate that for people.
Wow, thank you, Luis. That you make my day. You made my day today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate these words coming from you. I'm inspired for what have you done and what you have accomplished. So someone is in love with this conversation and want to find out more about you. They want to invest in the property deals and the things that you have. How people can find you? How this process work?
Yeah, if you want to get in contact with me, I don't have any social media outside of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's gonna be the only place you could find me. I made a decision years back that, what I really cared about was just truly doing the work. And so LinkedIn, you can find me at Louis Green or Lou, Lou Green. And I'll probably be the first thing that pops up. If you just Google my name, Louis Green, you'll find out a lot about me. So you can do it that way too. But either way, I'd love to connect. If you live anywhere close, like let's say in New York, I go to Texas a lot too, San Diego or Miami, it's as simple as reaching out to me saying, hey, Luis, I want to take you to get some lunch, dinner, coffee, and I can make sure that my executive assistant makes it happen. But yeah, that'd be an honor if any reviewers want to get together.
Thank you so much, Luis. And with that note, see you guys in our next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneurs like Luis break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.